Hey yo, what's going on, you guys? This your boy 3 representing TKOG. I'm on my memento spree. Smash that like button! Break your subscribe button! I want to see cracked screens right now. For this super hot fire, the best memento deck list you've ever seen, bro. This deck is crazy. I've been going so bananas with memento, you just don't know. This is 60 card memento Goblin, BIKER, FIENDSMITH. This is the same list that I've been playtesting and making some micro changes here and there. It's such a good call into the format. It felt like whenever I played this deck, the only hand trap that I ever really felt like blew me out was Shifter. I played through so many hand interactions multiple times. I've had crazy stories with this deck. Crazy things have happened, bro. I've literally played into Ash Droll Ogre, bro. Not full combo, I'm not gonna lie, but combo pretty nice, bro. Like, I found some clean lines, man. I find some really cool nuances. Being able to use blue and Gaddock to get access to the Field Spell and Bone Party and have Fusion set up interaction for 5 pops on my opponent's turn, plus follow-up and hand traps. This deck, it just always finds a way to push, and it's able to have its way in situations where it should not be having its way, and where other decks definitely will not have their way. I love this deck to pieces. It's so strong. I'm going to be talking about interactions and how this deck is positioned into the new format. And I have my targets set out to kind of double down on the strength this deck already had, which was it was like a counter pick for other XYZ decks. And with Rizio being like one of the best decks, I'm really grateful that the incorporation of my Goblin BIKER cards actually changes the ceiling of my deck dynamically in that matchup. I'm able to play through way more than I'm supposed to, and I have literally 1-card starters that can full combo through Detonator, which is actually crazy. I'm going to be showing you guys that shortly. This deck's just crazy. This deck's just so fun. I literally love Memento. One of the things about this and why it's such a safe choice into this format is its ability to just fluidly combo through so many hand traps and a myriad of interactions. And this deck has the best grind game. I've never played a deck with a better grind game than this deck, and I've played a ton of grindy mid-range decks. This is by far my favorite. This deck's half boards actually provide more interaction than your opponent has cards in their hand, bro. This deck actually has the literal best half boards. It has the cleanest lines into mulch armies, in my opinion. It plays so well on into the territory of Nib. It doesn't really care about a lot of hand traps that you would think of. And when this deck opens well, I mean, its 2-card combos literally beat 3 hand traps. It's just so crazy. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. Let's start with the pretty much the best cards in the deck, the starters and the engine cards. I'm playing around 31 good cards and 20 hand traps and some engine requirements. So we have 3 copies of Horsey. This card is a 1-card combo that also allows you to efficiently play through hand traps. And because I'm playing the FIENDSMITH build, whenever you open a Memento starter plus Horsey, you're able to play through an Ashen and Imperm with ease. And it's really easy to force Nib with this deck because of the FIENDSMITH cards, just being able to threaten Caesar. So it's so easy to efficiently check the hand trap list. It's really strong. I like this deck a lot. One of the things that I value so much about Witch is that most people when they're hand trapping this deck do not interact with Witch. They say their hand traps for Horsey, and that's an auto punish in this deck because I play FIENDSMITHs. So I'm able to play more efficiently through hand traps simply because of the fact that my opponent is respecting how good the engine of the Memento cards really is, and knowing that if they imperm Witch and I open Horsey, they get punished even harder than if they don't. So it almost feels like Witch has to resolve, and that's one of the things I love about Witch, because playing into boards going second, I will add a card like Sheepy and crash my Witch and then go off and just do what I need to do with turning on fusions. Playing into the Rizio matchup, whenever my cards get popped via Detonator, the Witch is able to access the Sheepy. And what I like to do with Sheepy when I'm in a pinch, I've played through literally 3 hand traps plus Detonator, bro. What I ended up doing was just forcing my Sheepy to send Fusion and then using Fusion to pop and then add another Fusion. And it was literally my last play. I was down to no cards in hand and I just literally just went off, bro. It was just insane, bro. I summoned Creation King. I dumped Akiran. I dumped a copy of Mace and I dumped a copy of himself. And I used his, I grabbed the field spell, I used his effect to pop himself and the Detonator with no materials, triggered the field spell and Akiran, as Chainlink 2 and just got my 2 bodies back and just went bananas, bro. It was absolutely insane. I love this deck. It's so fun and it's so fluid. I mean, Memento has so many pivot lines and it really does play through a lot. So like, this is why I feel like such a safe choice for me, this format, because it plays through hand traps so well and its half boards are really, really strong. I feel like it being weak in the shifter is not enough valid reason to not play the deck, because it's only weak in the shifter. It's not weak in the D barrier. It's not weak in the simple archfiends. It doesn't care about gnomes. It doesn't really care about a lot of hand traps, bro. It only really cares if you open 4 high impact hand traps, and it didn't really open that well. So next up for my other engines, I'm playing 3 copies of Goblin Biker Grand Entrance. This card actually was Terratop. I made a meta call because I put Nib in my list, so I felt like with Horsey and Terratop conflicting with Nib too much, I wanted to put in a starter that would still enable me an essentially combo with accessing like a way to bridge without my normal summon. What the Goblin Biker cards really do so well is like, even when you open clunky normal summons, I have a lot of lines where I just summon Caesar and then I detach a material from Caesar to go off of my Goblin Biker combo. And it's so worth it when you get hand trapped and you're forced to do an engraver line to push, and you know that they might have an effect against your hand trap that will check it. You make the Caesar and you can extend with your Goblin Biker cards with the Caesar up protecting you from Nib, and you're able to just pivot so fluidly. It's really, really strong. I like it a lot. And the other thing that I enjoy about it is detaching the engraver from the Caesar and then using 2 bodies to go up into Moon, and then take the Moon plus a body to make sequence and still in on Desiree with the Caesar. Really, really strong. This card is phenomenally strong in the Rizio matchup specifically. This deck is a little bit more tailored to beating Rizio naturally because I play the Goblin Biker cards, which check 2 boxes, being really strong starters, really good follow-up, and very strong pivot lines, and also just being able to detach from Detonator to pretty much reduce its amount of pops. So if you open Entrance by itself, it actually takes all the materials off of the Detonator because you activate it, and you detach a material from Detonator, and you add your Goblin Biker Doug, and you summon Doug. And whether Doug resolves or not, what's going to happen is they have 2 choices. They have to hand trap it, which hopefully if they have a hand trap, they do. And if they don't have a hand trap, they're forced to use the Detonator to pop the Doug. Because if they don't, then Doug is going to grab the quick play, and the quick play is going to be able to dodge their Detonator anyways. So they're literally forced to pop the Doug. And that way, when the Doug does actually add the quick play is dead because you need a monster to tribute to summon, right? And then what happens next is you use the Graveyard effect of Entrance to detach the last material off of the Detonator to add the Doug back from Graveyard to hand. And then you just normal summon the Doug anyways for turn and activate the Grand Breakout, tribute him for cost. And you can summon out Gone Wild, use Gone Wild to summon out Memento Goblin, and you full combo through a Detonator with just Entrance alone. If it's Detonator plus anything else, that's another thing to add to the equation. But the fact that Entrance does take all the materials off Detonator while giving you follow-up and a really strong 1-card combo that literally it full combos through Detonator, which is actually crazy. There's no sequencing where the Detonator can actually stop it. It's just really freaking crazy, bro. It's actually absurd. I like it a lot because there's no way to stop it, whether they're detaching Aggregator in response to this. Because this is the thing, is like when you activate this card, they would have to chain Detonator, detach Aggregator to target this and pop it, and you'll detach another material, and then you'll search Doug, and then the Doug will get specialed, and then it'll be negated by Aggregator. But the other problem is you still took the materials from the Detonator, and that's the whole premise of this card. And it's on resolution, so when you activate it, if they don't chain and you just detach and they decide, oh, I want to detach and pop, it's too late, bro, because it's going to detach on res, so they have to respond immediately. So this engine's really, really strong, and you get access to it through the Breakout as well, and also with Big Gabunga. I'm also playing 2 copies of Memento Goblin. He's pretty much the most consistent and convenient combo, and my actual favorite combo in Memento right now, because it's the one that I resolve the most, because I get hand trapped so much that Goblin is the strongest combo in my opinion, because he's the combo that I'm able to get to through the most lines of interruption, and it's the most fluid way to access my Memento line, because everything else can get thrown out, like everything else can get hand trapped, and my opponent can hand trap me correctly, and just having cards like Engraver and Breakout just enabled me to full combo through so many hand traps. Because Goblin actually, people really sleep on him, but he's actually one of the best full combos in my opinion. not only because of the resiliency that he provides, being able to play through so much interaction, but he is full combo. He's actually a full combo. It's only weaker into Nib objectively, but the way this deck plays is like, honestly, with the Fiendsmith cards, I'm using the Fiendsmith cards to check Nib off the list. Like, I've literally played into Nib with the Caesar line, got Nibbed, and then activated Breakout to tribute the Nib token and summon out my Gone Wild into Doug into the entrance into the Goblin, normal summon for turn, and it was just crazy because I got the 3 bodies through the Nib. It's just broken off 1 Breakout. Lastly, I'm playing the 1 Go Wild. I know I put a lot of explanation in this, but this is like an integral part of my list, and it's what sets it apart from other Memento lists, because Ryzeo actually really is technically a bad matchup for you, because if you activate any Memento card, they just chain detonator and pop your card, and then it won't be able to successfully destroy Memento you control, so a lot of your effects will fizzle. Yes, Detonator turns on Fusion, and it turns on Sheepy. I've thought about playing 3 Sheepy for that reason, because Sheepy actually is the best card going second, in my opinion, breaking boards, because you could just crash Sheepy in a pinch and dump a card like Gaddick, or dump a card like Fusion, or dump Akirion, and you're just able to play through more hand traps than you're supposed to, for the simple fact that you could just crash Sheepy or just pop Sheepy. Gone Wild also adds a totally crazy layer to your inboards, because I make Caesars with this, and I make Big Gabunga. Like, one of my cool boards that I do, like, it's like mid-range board, is like Caesar Gabunga plus Memento stuff, and I detach the Gone Wild for Caesar to negate, and then use Gone Wild's effect to target a card my opponent controls, attach it to Big Gabunga, and Chainlink 2 is gonna be the, Chainlink 1 is gonna be Big Gabunga, Chainlink 2 is Gone Wild. So what happens is Caesar negates, Big Gabunga then targets a monster my opponent controls to attach it, and also Chainlink 2 has Gone Wild to target one of their cards and attach it to Big Gabunga. So I literally get like 6 interruptions. It's crazy. I just love this deck. It's so fun and it's so cool. So these all, most of the time, are going to be normal summon reliant, and in certain instances, they're going to be extenders in that regard. The next engines are definitely like the power cards that you want to open, because your ceiling is the highest when you open these, and this is the reason why this deck is playing through so many hand traps. Like, this is where you go from playing through 2 hand traps consistently to playing through 3 to 4. And I just think that this deck plays through more interruptions, specifically going second, because of the ability to go Creation King, pop a card, plus itself to trigger your field spell mandatory. That's one of my best lines through the Droll, is actually using Creation King to be able to pop a card on your first turn, because going first, you actually can't Memento Fusion pop to trigger field spell and like extend through the Droll. But going second, your opponent always has a card that you could pop. So Memento Fusion is just literally broken. It's actually my favorite fusion spell right now. It's absolutely insane. It literally can summon any generic fusion. You just have to use Mementos as a material, at least one. I can't even tell you how many crazy stories I have with this card. I've summoned Guardian Chimeras, playing into fully established boards, playing through a myriad of hand traps. I've literally gone like Witch Effect, Chain Imperm, Chain Fusion. I'm like, screw this. I already know that this guy's not going to resolve. I'm going to go Guardian Chimera right now, bro. Like, it's absolutely insane the amount of interactions that this deck can play through. And this deck is so good against Rogue, so good against like mid-range deck, and it just destroys Runic in back row. These 9 cards take the ceiling way over the top, because if you open any of these 9s, you're always dodging detonator pops, you're always dodging hand traps, you're always dodging all the targeting interactions. This card plays through D-Barrier. It's just crazy how broken this deck is. So you have these 9s that are guaranteed going to be able to extend through hand traps, plus the Engravers, which gives you 12 really powerful cards to open that don't require your normal summon and can extend in that fluid manner that you need them to. Breakout's a little bit better than Bone Party, because the cleanest 2-card line is not the Witch plus Bone Party, it's Witch plus Breakout, because if you summon Witch and they impermanent and you chain Bone Party and they ash it, you lose that 2-card combination. Those 2 hand traps beat them, but Witch plus Breakout, guaranteed combos through Impermanent Ash. Guaranteed full combos. Because whether they don't Ash Breakout or not, and let's say you just summon the Memento Goblin, and they Ash that, and you summon Horsey, and they have a 3rd hand trap, because the idea is you summon Witch, they Impermanent, or they Valor it, you chain Breakout, tribute for cost. If they Ash the Breakout, that's foolish. They want to actually hold their Ash for the Goblin, so that, you know, if you have another way in the Goblin, they didn't just waste their Ash, and they get punished harder. You summon Goblin, they Ash the Goblin, you summon Horsey, they Imperm the Horsey, that's 3 hand traps, you make a Fiendsmith line, and you combo through it. It's just crazy, bro. And even if they only have 2 hand traps, that means you're full comboing through them, because if they Ash the breakout, you just grab Horsey, summon Horsey, and through Imperm Ash you full combo through it. If you summon the Goblin and they Ash that, and you summon Horsey and they Imperm it, and through 3 hand traps you full combo, it's just crazy how strong it is. It's one of my favorite lines ever. And then we have the Track, the Lacrima, the Lori. These are just engine requirements. Lacrima is just so that you can consistently make Desiree when you need to. Desiree, like my Fiendsmith cards actually resolve a lot more in this deck than they do in any other deck, because you have way too many like hand trap magnets and honestly definitive choke points for your opponent to be holding a hand trap for the sequence, right? If they're holding a hand trap for a sequence, then I'm full comboing with Mementos. And then 1-for-1 as another honorary card to just extend through hand traps. Not being able to combo without your normal summon is just so broken in this deck. Next, that's all of like the main engine cards. Next, we have the non-engine, the hand traps. I'm on the fence on whether I want to play more board breakers, because this deck already breaks boards so well. Memento actually is like, I just think Memento is actually the best deck in the like half boards and the simplified game states. It has the best grind game in my opinion, and it plays through the most hand traps in my opinion. I actually love this deck so much. I'm so biased because I'm speaking from experience. These are my Fuwaloses. I'm just proxying right now. And then I'm playing 3 copies of Nib. Nib is the main reason why Terratop got changed. But I'm happy for that change because the Goblin Biker cards are just broken into the Rizio matchup. And even just me making Caesar turn 1 to extend is just so crazy. This deck has like 50,000 combos, bro. 3 Ash, 3 Droll. I like Droll in the Rizio matchup and in the Fire King Snake Eye as a Mina matchup in the U-Bell matchup. It's not half bad into like Fiendsmith matchups either. Even the like random Fiendsmith deck, they just start with Engraver, grab a Track, and then just lose to Droll, which is just really crazy. It's not that great into the Malice deck, but I'm not really too concerned. It has enough coverage for every other matchup for me to be like, bro, if that's the only deck I'm not being able to Droll, I'm gonna main Droll because it's so secure. It turns off the Fuwaloses, of course. We have the Imperms. Imperm is just crazy right now. 3 Veiler and then the 1 Call By. So you have essentially the 19 non-engine, the 18 hand traps, and the 1 Call By. One of the things that I am enjoying with Droll is the Rizio deck always ends on Detonator Pass-Through Droll, and that's the easiest board to break ever. And it's not only easy, but with the Memento Goblin Biker variant, if you open Goblin Biker cards, they have to have hand traps. And they specifically have to have like 3. They literally have to have a way to hand trap the Doug so that Detonator doesn't lose all its materials, or they don't hand trap the Doug. Detonator not only loses all its materials, but then they have to have a Veiler for the card that you get after you resolve the breakout. So that's what's so crazy about the Goblin Biker entrance in that matchup. Like, it feels like Droll entrance is literally an FTK against that deck. This card's just so broken. Both its effects can detach an XYZ material from any monster on the field, which is just crazy because they're going to be popping your cards and you're just going to add your Goblin from grave to hand by detaching from the Detonator. And it's so good against the Rizio Cross. You literally turn the field spell off because you detach all the materials, bro, from all their XYZs. You turn off Cross, you turn off Detonator, you force them to have hand traps. So yeah, that's all my hand traps. I actually like Fuwalos in this deck because literally, bro, I ain't gonna lie, I be clapping cheeks with Fuwalos. I don't know who said this card's bad. They're tripping, bro. Like, I actually want my opponent to pass on this card. My deck's so good at playing through hand traps and breaking boards that it's not like I'm playing Centurion and I Fuwalos someone and, oh, I'm losing to 1 Imperm. I Fuwalos them, and if they pass, they're dead. Like, I love this card. I wish I could play 9 Fuwalos. And then engine requirements, this is a pseudo starter. Sheepy is literally MVP. Going second, any way to access this card. I have like a funny combo too that's like Darkblade and Darkblade into the Bone Party, and like if they hand trap the Darkblade, you still chain Bone Party to that. You don't actually Bone Party on res, you chain Bone Party to Darkblade, and you pop the Darkblade, and then you summon out the Sheepy, and the Sheepy gets popped on res of Darkblade. Then you summon out whatever you wanted off Darkblade, then you use Sheepy's effect to dump the Gaddock, and use Gaddock to add back Sheepy, and whether your opponent has an effect negation hand trap or another one, like, that's why, like, when you summon Darkblade and declare effect, and then you chain Bone Party, your opponent won't chain the second Veiler, because they don't know that that line even exists. Nobody does this in Memento, bro, I promise you. They always hold their Veiler for whatever you're going to summon off of Bone Party, which is correct. But you summon Sleepy, pop it off the res, and then Darkblade summons a new body. You could summon Witch, grab like a Tatsunocho, and if they hand trap the Witch, it doesn't matter because Sheepy's going to dump Gaddock, and you can go Gaddock for Sheepy and make your big 3K fusion. And 3K fusion can just dump a copy of itself, dump a copy of Memento fusion and Akiran, and you're going to full combo. Or in a pinch, if you're going second and you really need it, you just go Sheepy, dump Memento fusion, and immediately get access to it. So this card is literally MVP. I've crashed this into Nibiru's and won games off of just crashing Sheepy. This card is just way too broken. I want to play it at way higher ratios. It's just like always been there for me when I need it. So I haven't had problems with it at 1. But the way I be winning games with Sheepy makes me want to play 3 of it. 1 copy of Gaddock, 1 Horn Dragon, 1 Akiran. This card is literally broken. Not only does this deck have the best grind game, but it has the best follow-up in the terms of crackback, because I start my turn every turn by summoning a 5K that attacks everything. Inherent summon doesn't start a chain. I've literally broken boards just because my opponent couldn't kill me, and I just said, okay, attack for game. It's just so crazy. Bone Party gives you piercing, and this deck has a pseudo, like, Nightmare Pain FTK with Cranium Burst because your opponent has to attack this guy. So a lot of simplified game states you're winning with this and Cranium Burst by not even interacting. Because if you're a smart player, you only interact with your opponent when you need to. If they can't, this card's at 5K. You have to understand, this is at 5K. So you only want to negate cards that can out him. And if they can't out him, they go to battle phase and they kill themselves anyways because he's at 5K. They will literally attack him with all their monsters and die. He can attack all their monsters and they die. Or you just ignore your opponent's field and just attack directly with this guy in your 3K fusion for game. It's similar to Nightmare Pain in the aspect that this deck can ignore so many game states. It ignores so many boards and so many game states by being able to attack directly and having the Cranium Burst to force them to attack your big guy. So it gives it just an awkwardly high ceiling in certain like situations where it should. That's why I say Memento has its way when it shouldn't be able to have its way and other decks can't have their way. Secret effect of Memento land that people sleep on all the time. When you guys attack, your opponent can't activate any spells or traps. Other secret effect, Twin Dragon's broken. When you attack monsters, kill them by battle, they get banished instead. This deck has so many broken secret effects. It's the best deck in the game. I love it. Cranium Burst. Don't even side it out going second. I break people's boards and set up this, and it's like literally RIP. I love this deck. I literally love it. I eat, sleep, breathe Memento, you guys. This is my main deck. We play 2 Creation King, 1 Twin. Secret effect comes up all the time. Nobody knows this. Any monsters that are destroyed by battle by your guys are banished. This guy plus the field spell cracks so much in the simple game states. It's just so good. Aerial Eater. That's how Fiendsmith Engravers a 1-card combo with that and Cross Sheep. Necro Equip because of Caesar. This is how you force Nib. I do not regret playing Caesar. Caesar forces Nib all the time. The Nib's in the format. They will be holding it, but I forced them to throw it immediately. And they use their low impacts already on the way there. Guardian Chimera, you can summon this going second. It actually comes up. It's so good. Absolutely insane card. Desiree for the win. The deck needs an Omni-Negate. It has no way to really check evenly, even though evenly's like really not even that good anyways. Because if they're evening you, you're winning anyways. We have Bigabunga, Caesar, and Typhon for the XYZs. Bigabunga is just so broken. It adds any goblin monster on summon, and if an XYZ material is detached, it can just target a monster on the field, attach it to it as a material. In phase, it attaches a goblin from your deck. It's just broken. I was thinking about playing the 1-of Goblin Biker that can just detach every turn to summon itself from grave, so I have better follow-up in the Rizio matchup, but I already have such... Rizio is my best matchup right now, honestly, so I just don't need to make a good matchup better. Cross Sheep, SP, Moon, Sequence, Requiem. The extra deck is actually like more of a toolbox in my opinion with the Fiendsmith cards than if I was playing random like links that barely ever come up. Everything comes up now. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. God bless you. Make good choices. Don't do drugs. Don't hurt your brain cells. This deck's absolutely insane. Let me see here. 24 minutes in. So I guess we could talk about like other cool interactions, right? Like really quickly. People think this deck can't break boards. So like when you're able to resolve Sheepy and get in the Gaddock or Fusion and you resolve your Twin going second, it's so easy to go Horn Dragon, pop it off of any Memento card and just like I've literally gone through 3 hand traps and just popped like 5 cards on my opponent's field, like on my board. So just keep in mind, don't forget that Cranium Burst is literally Nightmare Pain. Don't forget that this is an inherent summon, doesn't start a chain. Like the first thing that you should be doing playing this deck on the crackback is like you live for a turn, your opponent's dead because if they summon everything in defense, you're gonna Bone Party, pierce everything. If they summon everything in attack, nothing's bigger than this guy. You just summon him, go straight to battle phase, and clear their field. Even if it's not an OTK, you clear their whole entire field. And guess what else is going to happen is those face down impermanences, those Veilers, they're going to be forced to shotgun them on a card that was absolutely free so that their board doesn't get broken. And then in main phase 2, now in main phase 1, you understand you already checked the hand trap. Now you don't have to worry about it. If it's imperm, they're going to use it battle phase. If it's Veiler, they have to shotgun it before you leave main phase. And then you could just combo after that. So this card always checks a hand trap that's effect negation every single turn. You guys don't understand how good this deck is. Like, every single turn you summon a 5k beater that can break their board, forces an effect negation hand trap for free, because it's a free resource. You already got all the value out of it. And you have Memento Fusion, Memento Land. You have the Witch that you added for follow-up. Like, there's no way this deck loses if it sees turn 3. And this deck will always see turn 3 if it even ends on the worst board that it can end on, because this deck gets literally, like, bro, it's absolutely insane. This deck gets literally 6 interruptions with half boards, even into Fualos. 2 draws, 6 interruptions. Yeah, you guys. I just think this deck is just so broken. Like, Darkblade, Tatsunocho plus any Memento normal summon that's broken is a 2-card combo that beats 2 hand traps. 2 cards beats 2 hand traps, and you make a Fiendsmith combo after that. If you have any way to access Sheepy, just keep in mind that Crashing Sheepy has won me literally more games than I can count. It's absolutely obscene the amount of games that I won just Crashing Sheepy and Foolish Barreling. And just also keep in mind that, like, Darkblade plus Bone Party is actually going to beat double Veiler, because they're never actually going to chain Veiler in response to the Darkblade when you chain Bone Party to their first Veiler. So if they Veiler the Darkblade and you chain Bone Party and they don't, then that just means that the Darkblade is going to resolve by popping the Sheepy and then summoning the Witch, and then their second Veiler can negate the Witch, and then Sheepy's going to Foolish Fusion or Gaddick. So either way, you're going to be able to literally full combo through double effect negation hand trap with just Darkblade Bone Party. Or they chain the second Veiler in response to the Bone Party, and then he gets popped, and you just summon Witch and you full combo anyways. So it's crazy that this deck has multiple 2-card combos that beat 2 hand traps, and they literally full combo through it. This deck always, even if it opens poorly with just 2 starters, forces your opponent to have 3 hand traps. And it's just always so insulated. It's so crazy. The deck can play around everything. It plays around board breakers. You can literally summon the Diabell, which is literally an anti-spell on legs. And when this deck gets to Diabell, for any decks that are on board breakers, you have Fracture Dance, you have Creation King, you have the pops off of the Bone Dragon, off of the Horn Dragon. You have the freaking pops off of the actual Diabell chick. Like, you get the pop off Darkblade because you get to go into the Darkblade off the field spell on their turn. You get to literally pop 5 back rows minimum without the double pop from Fracture Dash. You put your opponent on 1 card. If they have a handful of board breakers, they literally lose. So this deck makes the best boards in the game. In my opinion, it plays through hand traps better than every deck in the game. It's resilient as heck. It can play more hand traps than I'm playing right now. And it has the craziest inboard I've ever seen, crazier than Yubel. It has its own Nightmare Pain. It can attack directly through established boards. It has the craziest follow-up, the most broken crackback, a 5k body coming out every turn as an inherent summon, the grind game through the Fiendsmith cards, just being able to play through hand traps every turn. You guys just don't know. This is literally the best deck in my opinion. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love this deck with a passion. Deuces!